Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on this Saturday morning. I'm going to be doing my April demo. I'm going to be waiting to see people pop in with their comments. Tell us where you're from, what you might be sewing today, what you're going to be doing on this Easter holiday weekend. All right, so I'm trying to see if I have my comments set up right. I'm not seeing them start coming through yet, but it does have a little bit of a delay. So if you've been following me, Embroidery Garden, you know that I've been doing demos. I did one every month last year, and I've been doing them every month this year. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Laura. If it comes up as Facebook user, that means you need to give StreamYard permission to use, show your name. So I have been doing demos monthly. I'm going to be doing a demo today on my keychain card holders, and I'll give you a little bit of a closer view of that and talk about it more once we get started. There is a link to a page that shows all of the products that I'm going to be talking about. So that's always posted with the announcement of the demo. And also, I see a lot of people rolling in. Karen, Teresa, thank you, everyone. So what I just put in the comments is the information about the live giveaway. So at the end of this demo, there will be a live giveaway for a $15 gift card to embroiderygarden.com. So how to enter that? What you do is you type #garden into the comments. Just like I'm showing right here, type #garden only one time, and you're going to be entered into the drawing for that $15 gift card to embroiderygarden.com. And I'll probably, I'll say this again throughout the demo because people join at different times. So remember, #garden, that gets you into the live giveaway today. So a few things I want to talk about. I see more people rolling in. Thank you. So other things I want to talk about before we get started are upcoming classes. So we have 2 upcoming classes, and they're both Caroline's classes. Caroline Hargrave Booth, she is the one who does all the clothesline bowl classes, all those beautiful bowls that you see posted in Embroidery Gardens in the Hoop Facebook group. Those are coming from Caroline's classes. We kind of collaborate on them. Let me just show you a couple. Here is one of my samples. So this is clothesline. Caroline shows you how to start the bowl, how to stitch on clothesline, how to add fabric, how to wrap handles, and how to finish it off. And she has beautiful samples. We do talk about embroidery on bowls. We don't actually do it in class just because of the time constraint, but we do talk about how to embroider on the bowls. So that class is coming up on, let me see, 5/9, May 9th. So to sign up, you can go to embroiderygarden.com, click on classes, virtual, and sign up for the class. So on next Saturday, Joanne Banco and I are doing our April Let's Get Creative meeting. And for that meeting, Joanne has a beautiful neckline design. And she's giving you the free file for her neckline design. And she's going to show you how to line it up, how to stitch on necklines, what stabilizer to use, just all the information that you need. She's also going to show you how to take a t-shirt and refashion the neckline. You know how, there's a lot of us, myself included, that you buy t-shirts and you don't kind of like how it comes so high up on the neck, those crew necks. Well, Joanne's going to show you how to make more of a scoop neckline. And I will be showing you how to stitch this head wrap. It's like when you get out of the shower or the pool or something and you want a little head wrap. This is sewing, but you will get the instructions on how to make this. I'll show you how to make it out of toweling fabric. And you are going to get the download for all of our instructions, plus the download for this little in the hoop flower that I use to embellish this. So that is next Saturday. It's at 9:30 Central Time it starts. You can sign up for that by going to embroiderygarden.com and click on virtual classes. I believe it's like the first one up there. Also, there is on May 17th, Caroline's Hexagon Table Topper class. This has been a really fun class. She takes you through cutting 60-degree triangles, stitching them together to make a cute little topper, and then shows you how to do some simple quilting on it. That also, you can purchase that class by going to embroiderygarden.com, click on virtual classes. So I see a lot more people have been coming in. Great, great. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Heather. Thanks for joining me today. So again, if you're just joining, remember, type in #garden for the chance to win the $15 gift card to embroiderygarden.com. We will draw that live at the end of this demo today. I thought there was one more thing I wanted to talk about. On the 13th, May 13th, I'm hosting a brand new virtual free dime event called Block Party. And we're going to be they're going to show you how to make pieced in the hoop blocks during that event and talk about quilting and all kinds of great stuff. It's a shop and learn event. So you can go to embroiderygarden.com to sign up for that. It's like one of the big banners at the top of the page, or on my, there's a link on my Facebook page too, Embroidery Garden's Facebook page. So I see everyone's typing in #garden. Great. That puts you in for the chance to get the gift card. So the demo I'm going to do today, it's my Monogram keychain card holders. And there's a pocket on the back to hold cards. This set was actually put out in 2010. So that's 12 years ago that this set was put out. So what I did was I went back and I kind of freshened up the files, and I also freshened up the instructions with, better pictures, nicer pictures. I learned a few tricks between 2010 and today. So if you bought the set, you might have noticed I have a brand new format for my instructions. I have a checkbox type of format. And so when you're doing the steps and you open up your PDF file of instructions on your computer, as you do the steps, there's a little box in front of each step that you just take your mouse and click it and check it off as you do each step. So if you get interrupted or you have to stop or something, you know exactly where you're at. And while you're doing a design, you make sure that you've done every step by checking it off. So my instructions are going to be like that from now on going forward. And I hope that you guys like this new format. I see someone said they love the new format. Well, thank you. You can teach an old dog new tricks. So I can learn a few things as I'm going along. So let me just see. I see lots more people joining in. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera so you can get a closer look of the keychain and start showing you some of the supplies that I'm going to be using. Remember, I put a link at the very top, and let me go ahead and post that link again to a page on my website. To a page on my website that has it's a list of everything, all the products that I'm showing today that I'm using. So, if you want to check them out, you can go there and click on the photos, and it'll take you directly to a link of the products that I'm showing. So thanks, Cindy. Cindy says she loves my demos. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change my camera view. Here we go. All right, so here's a closer look at the keychain card holder. So you can see it's a small design. It fits in a 4x4 hoop, but it's not square. It's not 4x4. So it is a smaller design. So when we do smaller designs, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on those. This one has a little bit of quilting. You can probably see those lines, quilting lines in it. And there's an accent strip. Now mine is made out of cork. You don't have to use cork, but you'd have to use some non-fraying material such as ribbon, or I'm going to show you a piece of fabric, how you can use fabric. The most important thing is that it has to be exactly 1 inch. Okay, that's the most important thing. Hi, Connie. Thanks for popping in. So again, this has to be 1 inch, because if you see the stitching at the bottom and at the top, you want it to land exactly where it's landing on mine. Okay. And again, I used cork to make the little hanging tab to put my hardware. I just used a swivel hook, and I added a little tassel. Links to all these projects are on that page that I just posted. So, some of the stuff comes from Amazon, some of it comes from other companies, but there are links to everything that I'm showing you. So the cards go in a pocket on the back. Right now I've got, let's see, I've got 4 cards in there. I've had a person or two say, well, what keeps the cards from falling out? Well, one thing is the way that I designed it, the size that I made it. If I shake it, you can see they're not falling out. I'm not holding this tightly. I'm kind of trying to show you I'm barely holding it, and the cards don't fall out even if I shake it. Same thing if I only put one card in. And don't worry, these cards don't have real information on them. These cards are the ones that you get in the mail when they want you to sign up for a card. I keep these things to use as demos and things for samples of my designs. So if I just put one card in and it's just a pocket, and again, I try shake, whoops, it did come out that time, but they stay in there very well. One thing I'm going to tell you about a way to put a snap-on if you really, really want a closure on it. And I'll get to that when we get to that part in the design. So I'm going to look and see if there's any questions, and then we're going to get started with the design. Let's see. Connie says it's a nice way to spend a Saturday morning. Clovis says it's nice for a 4x4. It certainly is. And the reason I made it this size, I didn't make it any bigger, is because, using it for a keychain, I don't want something really big in my hand. I want to be able to hold something. So this is the reason that I made it this size. And I'm going to scroll to see a nice idea to make sure I have all the steps. That's right. That's how the instructions go. It's one thing about the instructions I'll tell you too, is if you're doing them on your computer and you're checking it off by using your mouse and clicking these steps, when you're all done, it's going to ask you if you want to save. You'll say no, because you don't want to save all your check marks. But if you happen to go ahead and did save, don't worry. All you'd have to do is when you open the file back up is go back and click, and then it removes them all. So let's see. Christy, and if you are talking about what the name of the design, these are the Monogram keychain card holders. If you look at the link that I just posted, I'll post it again here real quick. This will show you everything, links, including the design set that I am talking about, links to the products and the design. Okay, so let's talk about what we need. I've got my 4x4 hoop here. I've gone ahead and stitched the first step. We'll talk about that a little bit in a few minutes. But I've got the no-show mesh stabilizer that I've hooped, 4x4 hoop again. We're going to need a piece of batting. And let's talk about this batting. If you've been following me for a while, I started out using Warm and Natural, and I still use Warm and Natural. Then later on, I went to Pellon 988, and I still use that. But I found something I like a lot for especially these small designs. And this is batting, and it's a poly batting. And this is Quilter's Dream Poly. And it's the thinnest loft. We try to show you the edge that they have. And the reason I like using it in this design especially is because of the size of the design. It's not quite even 4x4. So it's going to make it easier to turn. Can you use Warm and Natural? Sure. It might make it a little bit harder to turn just due to its size because it is small. So that's why I've opted to use this thinner poly batting. Another thing too is Warm and Natural is a cotton batting. This is poly. I mean, I think there's a little tiny bit of cotton in it, but if you use Warm and Natural and you go to press your project when it's done, if you like to steam things like I do, you can get some shrinkage on, if you use something like Warm and Natural, batting that is very, very high in cotton. So sometimes if you have a project, you're making a purse or something, and it shrivels or puckers a little bit at the end, it could be due to you steaming it. I don't have any problem steaming this. So you need a small piece of batting. And again, the instructions are going to tell you exactly what you need, how big to cut all the pieces. You're going to need a piece of fabric. This is going to be the front. You're going to need your strip. And again, it could be cork. It could be soft vinyl. It could be ribbon. The important thing is it has to measure 1 inch wide. Okay, you need to be exact in that measurement. If you wanted to use fabric, what I did for this was I took a piece of fabric and I cut it 2 inches wide. You could take a pin, one of those friction pins, and mark the center of this, and then fold each edge in 1/2 inch, and then you would end up with a 1 inch wide piece. And again, it needs to measure exactly 1 inch wide. These are 1/2 inch marks on my cutting mat. So just remember that when you are choosing what you want for the accent strip, make sure it is 1 inch wide. You can, on this design, skip the little accent strip altogether. You don't have to do it. Just skip the step that stitches it down. This set does come with letters A through Z in it. In this style shown, it's just a kind of a plain style. It also includes a blank where you can put any style font you want in. You could put a name. You could put a tiny design. You could put anything in it that you want. So you have A through Z plus the blank. And Ginger wants to know, how do I get my edges so nice and sharp when I press? So if you're talking about this, I starch this piece of fabric. So I love to starch fabric before I use it. I starched it, and that's how I got my folds in here really nice. Again, if you do use fabric, you want to take your time and make sure that it measures 1 inch wide all the way, across your piece. And this will all be hidden once it gets placed onto your little keychain. So after that, you're going to need, you need your piece that is going to attach your hardware. Now, I talked about how, you can make it longer if you want. So what you would do then, the instructions tell you how long to cut it. I would add possibly 1.5 inches length to that measurement that's in the instructions. And we'll go over that a little bit more. I'll show you that again later. And then we're going to need a folded piece. This is just a bigger piece that's folded wrong sides together. That's going to form our pocket that's going to hold the cards. And then we need another piece of fabric. And what this fabric is going to be, it's actually going to end up being the actual back side. This is the folded piece that makes a pocket, and this will finish off the back side on the inside there. Let me take these cards out. It's all fully lined inside. There are no raw edges. So it turns out being really cute, really nice. Kay thinks it's the perfect size. I do too. All right, so let's get started. Like I said, the first thing that I did was I stitched the first step onto the stabilizer, which is just some placement lines. That's all they are, placement lines. So then you would take your batting, and it's cut to that inside rectangle shape, and place it down. Take one of the pieces of fabric, not the folded piece, just one of the other ones, and place it right side down. And I'm using batik, so it's a little bit harder to tell. And I'm just going to center it over the top of the batting. If you want to, you can tape it down. I'm not going to tape it. I'm going to take it over to the machine. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to bring the machine up. So hopefully you got a good view of the machine. Someone just posted a way to keep the cards in there so they don't slide out. They really won't slide out due to the size I made it, but I'm going to go back and talk about it again. I talked about it earlier. So the next step that's going to stitch, it's going to do the 2 quilting lines. There, it just has a couple of, I'll hold this up here, just a couple of wiggly quilting lines you can see. And it's going to stitch those out. It just adds a little bit of structure to the little thing. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Carrie. I see Bob's here, Jay's here, Tammy. Looks like everybody's in the house. Joy, don't forget to type #garden in the comments to be entered into the giveaway for the $15 gift card to Embroidery Garden that I'm going to be doing later. You only need to type it in one time. All right, so it's done doing the little quilting lines, and I'm going to switch my camera again. And it's always, there we go. Let me hold it up a little bit, let the camera focus, and I think you can see those little quilting lines, the wiggly lines. All right, so our next step is to place our 1-inch piece. And I got to get some tape because you are going to want to tape this in place because you do not want it to wiggle on you. So I got my tape ready. So if you can see, and it might be hard for you to see, let me bring it up closer, but when it stitched those placement lines at the beginning, see there's a little line here. Let me just lift this up and you can see it better. It stitched 2 horizontal lines on one side and then 2 matching ones on the other side. I can still see them sticking out from behind the fabric. That's where we're going to place the ends of our 1-inch accent strip. A tip that I like to do too, and I know this is going to be hard for you to see, but I like to have my mat underneath my project. And since this is poly mesh, the no-show stabilizer, I can see through it. And I like to take these 4 little lines and line them up on my mat, and they'll line up to the 1-inch marks. So when you place this, it's important that you place it right in between those little marks. And I'm going to have to stand up so that I can, see mine a little bit better because I want mine to turn out great, just like my sample did. So let me just check and make sure that let me get it right there. And then I'm going to tape one side. And I'm going to make sure the other side is exactly where I want it to be. Let me grab my tape. Let me check again. And I'm going to tape it down. All right, so I have my 1-inch strip. If I was using, my fabric, and I showed you earlier how it's a folded piece, I would do the exact same thing, place it the exact same way. So the next step is going to stitch it down, our accent strip, along the top and along the bottom. And it's going to leave about an 1/8 inch or so extra. It's going to come up a little bit higher than the bottom and come down a little bit lower than the top of the strip. And I really want you to see how nice and even that stitching looks. So that's why it's important for you to get good placement. All right, so I'm going to take it back over to the machine. To get ready to stitch. Now, on mine, I used, I still use the green thread. Whoops. Let me make the machine bigger so you can get a better look. All right, so it's going to stitch that down, and we're going to see what kind of placement I had. Hopefully, I had some really good placement. So, are there any other questions about the set? Again, this set was originally released in 2010. So, I like to kind of bring up some, older designs that maybe, you're not aware of. Sometimes, designs that, we did years ago, people, kind of forget about. Everybody wants, what's new and see what's new and stuff. So I freshened up the set a little bit. If you purchased it in the past, all you have to do is go to embroiderygarden.com, log in, look under your orders, find it and re-download it. And you've got all those new format of instructions I talked about. and the new files. All right, so let's come back over to the table. And let me get that changed. And let's see how I did. I'm going to bring it up here close because it looks like I got some perfect placement. Let the camera focus. I'll hold it here for a second here. Hopefully that camera's focusing. But see, just take a little bit of time and you get the results that you want. So the next step is going to stitch the letter. Again, letters A through Z are included in the set, and there is a blank. So, you know, it only comes with A through Z and the style shown. So if you don't like that style, use the blank and use a different font, a different style of font, or put a name in there, or put a or a little design. You can put like a mini design in there. So I went ahead and I changed my thread in my machine because I don't want to use the green on the green. I'm going to use kind of a yellow on the green. So I'm going to go put this on the machine. I don't think we really need to see this actually stitch, but I can let it stitch and see you at the same time. Let me just change the other camera view. This camera changing, it gets a little tricky here. Bonnie, you can't believe you've been hanging with Embroidery Garden that long? Well, you know what? Actually, I've been in business for 21 years now. So, you know, it's been quite a while. I have designs that are, well, they're 21 years old now. So, you know, it's always a good idea to go to embroiderygarden.com and just start searching. You can put keywords into the search bar at the top, and you don't know what kind of little gems will show up. So you can see the machine is almost done. Clovis, a name would be great to put in there. I'm thinking maybe even a nice little kind of decorative scroll or something going across would be pretty, in case, you know, these would be nice to sell in case you didn't, you know, want to do, you know, things specific like, you know, letters, monograms, or names. Do a nice, pretty little scroll. That would be great. Hi, Rosemary. It's great to see you. Happy Easter to you. Let me take this off the hoop, and let's come back now and talk about the next step we're going to do is we have another piece to add. So let me change this camera again so you can start seeing what the next step of the design is. This design goes pretty quick. It only has a stitch out time of 3 minutes. Of course, it takes longer to do the other little things. If you bought the design at an event, this design would not have been at an event. So you wouldn't have bought it at an event. All right. So the next step is to place our folded piece of fabric. So it's going to be hard to see. So what I'm going to do just for the camera is I'm going to darken up this line here so you can see that, because that's what you need to find. At the end of these quilting lines, it did a little running stitch to get over to the next one to do it. So there's a little bit, probably about 3/4 of an inch of straight stitching right there. You're going to be looking at that straight stitching right there. That's why I darkened it up. And you're going to take the folded piece and you're going to take the fold and we're going to put it 1/4 inch below the line. Okay, 1/4 inch. So that means here's my fold and here's the line that I'm putting it 1/4 inch below. This is important because if you put this way up here too high, the last step will sew it all together and you will not have a pocket on the back side. So make sure that it's 1/4 inch below that little line of stitching there. And I'm going to take some tape and I'm going to tape it in place just because I don't want it to wiggle and move on me. And I'm just going to go ahead for right now and just put it right there in the middle. I'm going to put it back on the machine and it's going to stitch this piece on. So let me just, it's going to be very quick that it's going to stitch that on. So I'm going to look to see if there's any more questions. If you come in late, that's perfectly fine because you can rewatch the video on Embroidery Garden's YouTube channel. You can watch it on Embroidery Garden's Facebook page or on Embroidery Garden's Facebook group. So remember, enter that $15 gift card giveaway at the end of the demo by typing #garden into the comments. All right, so this piece is stitched on. And it just stitched it down here near the bottom. So now we're ready to place our, let me grab it here, our little hardware strip. I'm going to take this tape off because we're going to use that same mark up there, that mark that I darkened on mine. We're going to use that same exact mark. So if you wanted to have a snap on the back, again, the instructions are going to tell you how long to cut this piece. This is 1/2 inch because I'm using 1/2 inch hardware. It's going to tell you how long to cut it. I suggest adding, I'm going to say 1.5 inches to the length of this piece. So that way, when it's all done, you can bring this to the back side, and with 1.5 inches more, you would be able to install a snap right here and then a snap into the pocket. Now, this is not in the instructions, okay? This is not in the instructions. So write it down, remember it, make a note on your instructions. But if you wanted to do it, you would just make that strip longer. So what I like to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it through my swivel hook. I'm going to bring those short ends together. And what I like to do is I like to take a teeny tiny piece of tape, and let me get a little piece. And the reason I use a little piece is because I don't want to get it caught in any stitching or anything. But when I do something like this, I tape the short ends together because invariably, if I don't, it's going to shift on me. And I don't want my little tab to, be off. So I bring the short ends together and I'm just putting a teeny tiny piece just to hold them together. So now you see they're together. They're not going to shift or move on me. So we're going to go back to that line again that I darkened up on mine. And we're going to place this. You want the hardware pointing towards the inside of the hoop. And let me get another piece of tape because I'm definitely going to want to tape this down. And we're going to put the short ends, these cut ends, to where they are 1/2 inch above that little mark. So let me get mine lined up and tape it down. Okay. If you want to tape the hardware down, you can. I'm not going to. But the next step of our design, it's going to actually stitch this down for us. So we don't have to worry about it shifting or moving or anything. Let me just make sure that it's secured well with my tape. And I'm going to put it over here on the machine and you can watch it stitch that down. Yeah, you'd still place the tab the same way if you cut it longer. You're going to need, now I'm saying 1.5 inches. I haven't done it. So the first one you do, you might want to test it and see how it goes. But if we look at the sample here, if I added 1.5 inches to this, it would really be 3/4 inch higher, right? Because the loop is folded. So let me just kind of measure over here. So if I had 3/4 inch more, I definitely think if you cut it 1.5 inches longer, you would definitely have enough to bring it over. This would still stay over here. You would put the snap there. With 3/4 inch more, it would come down to about right here. And I think that would be perfectly fine to do that, to get a snap on there. Okay. Remember, that's not in the instructions. So if you wanted to do that, you're going to have to refer back to the video. Okay. So let me take this off the machine. And you can probably see that stitching going up here, right there, to stitch it down in place. again, I used a piece of cork. The cork is just so easy to work with. It's so nice. It's so soft. This is Sally Tomatoes cork. And if you didn't know that if you purchase cork off of sallytomato.com, if you use the code REEN, REEN, you get 10% off your order. So the last step is to take our last piece of fabric and place it right side down. And let me check this. This is a batik, so it's a little bit hard to tell. I do believe I believe this is the right side. And I'm going to go ahead and tape it down, at least tape it at the very top and at the very bottom, because we don't want it to shift. Now, you probably could use Velcro dots. The reason why I wouldn't, one, Velcro is not really that strong. Two, you're going to have to sew it on here by machine, and you're going to see it on the, back side, or you'll actually see it on the front side, because to sew a Velcro dot on, you would have to stitch through everything. So you're going to see it. So that's why I wouldn't use Velcro. Snaps are great. Get cam snaps from camsnaps.com and you're all set. So now the last step is to sew this together. It's going to leave an opening here at the bottom. The design name is Monogram Keychain Card Holders at embroiderygarden.com. I'm going to go ahead and post this link again. So the link that I just put up there in the chat is a link to a page that lists everything that I'm talking about. Okay, it lists the design set. It puts a link directly to the design set and to all the products that I'm talking about. So if you click that link, it'll take you to everything you need. And when I do my monthly demos, I always create a page of products. So, look for that when I make the announcement. And I don't know if you know, but if you go to Embroidery Garden's YouTube channel, or if you're following this on Embroidery Garden's YouTube channel, because I am streaming it to there also, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you will get a notification of when I go live. So that's handy. And yeah, don't forget to type in #garden for a chance to win that gift card to Embroidery Garden. We're going to pick it live at the end of this demo. Okay, so it's done stitching, and let me get that camera changed. We don't need the machine anymore. And let's go back to the other camera view, and we're going to finish this up. All right, so it's time to take it out of the hoop. And we're going to trim around it. So one thing about trimming, I am going to trim these edges of this cork piece I put down, but I am not going to trim it 1/4 inch. I'm going to leave them a little bit longer. When doing that, when doing things like pieces of elastic or this hardware tab too that's up here, it's underneath all of this tape, I'm not cutting it down to 1/4 inch either. It's right here. I'm not cutting that all the way down, because that's something that's going to get a lot of stress on it when you are using your keychain from pulling and stuff. So I'm not cutting that end short. And you're going to see me do that as I start to trim. I'm going to get the tape off here so I don't cut through any tape with my nice scissors. So down here is the opening. And it might be a little hard to see because my thread really matches my fabric. But I'm going to cut on either side of my opening, just like this. And my opening part, I'm going to leave it about 1/2 inch long. All right, so that's my opening right there. Let me get that stabilizer cut. Now I'm going to go around cutting 1/4 inch all the way around past the stitching, except I'm going to leave the strip and the tab end longer. Let me go ahead and just start cutting through everything, getting close to that strip here. So I don't want to cut it. So I'm just going to bend my fabric back and go on that side of it, and then come on this side of it. And I am going to trim it down a little bit. I'm not going to leave all that there, but I'm going to trim it down a little bit. And let me get that trimmed down. I'm trimming about 1/4 inch again. I'll go ahead and do the other side before I do that tab area. Again, I'll skip over my strip. Move it out of the way so I can cut the stuff behind. And cut right here by my opening. All right, let me clean that up and let me cut this. It's about 1/2 inch I'm leaving. And now I got to do the top part where the tab is. Just going to move something out of my way so I can see if there's any comments. I don't tell you how to add another lettering. The instructions will tell you when it needs to stitch, but that's something you would have to do in software. And everybody uses different software, so you need to know how to use your software. Try to get this piece of tape off of here. All right, so there's my little end of my hanging tab. I don't want to cut it short. So let me cut in front of it, move it out of the way, and I'll cut behind it. And I will cut it down just a smidge. All right, so there we are so far. I've trimmed around it. I am going to trim or clip the corners. Don't clip too closely, but you do want to clip them to get that bulk out of your way. And another thing we're going to do, and I have this in almost every one of my instructions, is to get rid of some of the bulk down here at the bottom. So at the opening, you're going to see I have this piece here and the piece in front of it make up the opening, and we're going to turn it through. So I only need those 2 pieces. Let me grab them. So I got those 2. I'm not cutting those off. But everything that's behind that piece is bulk. So I'm going to cut it and get rid of it. I don't need it. I only need my opening. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn it. Now this is small to turn. And I know some people have problems turning small things. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick my finger in. And one thing, you remember at the beginning when I had a sewn rectangle and I put the batting in there? One thing that does is it keeps the batting out of the seam line. So that's going to make it a little bit easier to turn. So I'm just going to start to turn, and I'm going to take this other end and kind of cup it down inside. I got my hardware. I can feel that hardware piece right there. And I'm going to start working it towards the opening. And of course, I would have a problem doing this live. It's my hardware moved over to the side on me. It went sideways in there for some reason. Let me get that out. Okay, one thing I want to tell you too is you have your hardware, but don't pull on it, okay? You're going to put too much stress and strain on it. Make sure you are grabbing onto fabric when you are turning it. And if I just can get it just started, I will be okay here. Now I have some tools that can help me, and one of them is my turning tool here. Let me just see if I can't get it kind of started doing that. And of course, like I said, I would have a problem doing it live. It always happens, right, Stephanie? But it does have to be something that is, this design does have to be small. And I did not have this trouble when I did it, you know, the samples that I made. Let me just get it going. If I could just get it started here. And I believe I've got it. Yay. Okay, here it comes. Now this tool that I'm using, this precision turning tool by R&K, it is the best tool there is. You've heard me talk about it during other lives and things. So I like to get everything pushed out as well as I can with my fingers. But this turning tool, I know a lot of you like your chopsticks, you like your crochet hooks, you like whatever. This, though, is the best turning tool there is. And there is a link to it on that page that I sent. The thing about it is, if you can see that little tiny ball at the top, that is the secret, I think, to this whole thing, because you can get into these little corners and you want to push them out nicely. So, I mean, I don't know if you can see that, But look how nice that corner came out because it's got that tiny little ball on it, and it will help you to get those corners out perfectly. Then I also like to take it, and I don't know if you can see this, but I'm running that ball along that seam there. I'm going to push out the bottom corners. Take your time at this because this is what's going to make your finished project look nice if you take the time to turn everything out nicely. Now, one thing too that I found with this tool that works really great, if you take your project, and I do like to do this, I do like to press it lightly after I turn it the first time. And while it's still warm, if you take this tool and put it inside and run it along that seam, it's almost like it's pressing it from the inside. So what I would do now is I would have pressed it with my iron. I was going to bring my iron over, but I completely forgot. Now, before I turn it again, these little tabs that are at the bottom here, maybe if I take it off the green, you might be able to see it a little bit better. I like to take this Steva Seam Light, and I buy it in a roll. I think this one is 1/2 of an inch. I cut it a piece that I need. I want it to be as long as my little, we'll call it a flap there. And I'm going to cut it off. And I'm going to apply it now. So I'd put it on here and I get it as close to the stitching as I could, the edge of it as close as I could to that stitching. And I would press it on with my iron. Then you peel the paper off. So now you're all ready to close it up after we turn in the edges. So the edge would have my fusible web on it. It's double-sided permanent fusible web. You turn in your raw edge. You get them all nicely lined up and press it. And that will close up the bottom. So you don't have to hand sew it. It's going to close up the bottom. The next thing we're going to do, here's that opening. Now remember, I told you if you place this folded piece too high, it will get stitched all together. But as you can see, it's I have my opening. So I turn it one more time. Turn it through the opening or the pocket. I'll call that, should be called the pocket. Get those corners poked out, but I'm going to be using my little tool again to make sure I get them poked out as much as I can. Get everything shaped nicely. That's something you want to do with your projects. Get them shaped nicely and then give it a final press. And you have a adorable little card holder keychain. I added the tassels. There's a link on that page to the tassels. These are just little suede tassels. I get them off of Amazon. Here's one. They do have a plastic top. They're fine for projects like this. You get some little jump rings to put on there. And this tool, it's a jump ring tool. So it helps you to open up those little teeny tiny jump rings and put it onto your tassel and then just attach it to your little swivel hook. And it's all done. So how'd you guys like this project? Kind of cool. Let me go ahead and get my camera switched back again. And I saw someone ask the question of, where do you get the turning tool? So I do have a link on that page. Let me pop it up there one more time. Let me get into the comments. There we go. So that page that I just put in, that link I just put in, goes to a page on my website. I set up a page for every demo that links to everything. A link to the design set. It'll link to this turning tool. These are kind of hard to get. And I think the link that I put in, I thought there was only 4 of them. So, and they're on sale for like $11. So, you know, that link is there. A link to Sally Tomato for cork, a link to the swivel hooks I'm using, a link to the little tassels I'm using. It's all on that page. So are there any other questions? Oh, the set is on sale until, I thought I wrote it down here. I believe the set is on sale until Tuesday night, whatever Tuesday is coming up. The set is on sale, so go ahead and grab it. And remember, if you already purchased it way back when or throughout the years, because it did come out in 2010, just go ahead, go to embroiderygarden.com, log in, and re-download it, and you'll have the brand new files with my brand new instructions. Oh, thanks, Bob. June, thank you. Okay, this is going to be about your last time, if you have not already, because you only need to do it one time, to comment #garden, because I'm about to pick the winner for the $15 gift card to embroiderygarden.com. So get your #gardens into the comments right now. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to share my screen because you guys are going to see it live. And I'm going to give you 48 hours to contact me. You can contact me on Facebook. You can contact me through my website. There's a contact us button at the bottom. So, 2 days, I think, is enough time for you to contact me to claim it. If not, you forfeit it. Sorry. So let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get this giveaway up. It's kind of pretty cool how it does it. You're going to see it actually spin around. All right, here we go. So right now there's been 174 people have entered. As soon as I click draw, it's going to pick a name from one of those people who did #garden. Okay, here we go. There's all the names flying, and it's going to stop on somebody. Here we go. Hillary Burke, you are the winner of the $15 gift card to embroiderygarden.com. So be sure to contact me to claim that prize. Now, remember, too, if you're watching this during the replay, you tell your friends about it. The giveaway's already happened, just so you know that. Kind of like the key holder, you're going to make some. Great. If you have any questions about anything embroidery garden related, please send me an email. I really don't do Facebook messages. I like to do, handle things through email. Stay tuned. Follow me on Facebook. Follow Embroidery Garden on Facebook. And, you'll be watching for the next demo. It'll be a May demo. If you guys have ideas for demos you'd like to see me do, whether it's, one of my designs or it's a technique or something, shoot me an email about that, because I'm always looking for ideas for demos. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful Easter, everyone. And remember, if you want to rewatch it, you can either go to Embroidery Garden's Facebook page to rewatch, or you can go to Embroidery Garden's YouTube channel and rewatch it. It'll stay in both those places forever. So thanks, everyone. Have a great Saturday and have a wonderful Easter.